Hey, this is Tom Calvin. Thanks for tuning in to Tomorrow's Legends.
In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as Tomorrow's Legends.
And we are live.
Hey.
Hello, Legendaires. All right, well, welcome to the show, guys. Those of you that are sticking around to the very end, Harley's going to be keeping a list there, and your guys' names will get in the draw for our prizes. So stick around, and we'll see who's with us.
No, this week's notes, we don't have our usual snappy intro.
We do not have an intro. No, I was not able, because I was thinking, how do I got to come up with something that I can perform live on camera. So I don't know if we could do the Mick and Harley thing. You know, who writes this crap anyway?
There we go.
What is it we're celebrating anyway? What'd you drag me in here for?
It's definitely not something special.
Get me a beer and I'll stick around.
I've got some wine.
There you go. There's our opening skit for you. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends, guys. This is Season 5, Episode 10, The Great British Fake Off. I am the Flash.
And I'm Harley Quinn.
And yeah, we technically speaking, this actually is our 101st episode. Who was it that pointed that out to us, Harley?
I believe it was Tails on Twitter. Yeah, I think she had DM'd us that I had accidentally misnumbered one of the episodes. I'm the worst.
Yeah, and it ended up being episode 96 that we did twice of, so yeah.
Yep.
But you guys have heard me say it a couple times already. This is huge for us, 100 episodes. It's a big deal. Me and Jess started this podcast. It was our very first one, and we started it because of Aero Squad, and we're very proud of our own little show. It's all on our own. We pay for everything out of our own pockets, and we put together. There's no network we're attached to. There's nothing. This is just us. So we're kind of proud that it's reached 100 episodes, and we're still going. We got a 6th season coming, so we're going to get another 20 episodes from here till the end of that one, I guess. Really, that's probably a good number, guess, eh?
Yeah, probably, because we'll have some stuff we can do in the off season. I think a lot of cons are either canceled or tentatively happening. I know for sure Comic-Con was canceled. I know Dragon Con is very up in the air, but I would be shocked if they allow 80,000 people to congregate in 5 hotels in a few short months.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be a lot.
Yeah, so I think the new cycle this year could get really interesting, but it could give us some opportunities to do some live stuff, and well, I'm sure we'll definitely have some more podcasts to go along with it for sure.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get into this show. Like I said, Season 5, Episode 10. You have a little bit of news for us? Tiny bit?
I do.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
All right, take it away, Jess. What do you got for us?
All right. Oh, yeah, I didn't hear any of that, by the way. So for news, we have air dates for May 5th and May 12th. So the next week is May 5th, and that'll be called Ship Broken. And then the week after that, May 12th, it'll be Freaks and Greeks. So the names aren't really giving much away, other than Freaks and Greeks is just kind of funny, a nice play on Freaks and Geeks. So that would be cool if we ended up getting some Freaks and Geeks alumni to come join the show for a minute.
Broken Ship actually worries me, because that means something might be up with Gideon, and I don't like that.
That's true. That could mean a couple different things, but yeah, it could mean something's wrong with Gideon. I don't know, or that could mean they get stranded somewhere. I don't know. We'll just have to find out what that one means.
Yeah. That's true. We'll have to see.
And then I did look at, because this is something we've talked about. We've been talking about viewership, and so I was curious. So on the same Wikipedia page, they do kind of note viewership and where it's at. And so actually over the last 2 weeks, we were up from our all-time low. And so Our episode last week was 0.69 million or 690,000 for those of you playing at home. And our all-time low was 0.65 million or 650,000. That's the right math, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so in other words, pretty low. We know we're getting a season 6, but consistently over time, we've just trended down, and down. Each season has progressively dropped down. So with the crossovers, there's definite spikes at crossover episodes when everybody was kind of coming together. But yeah, so there's a very good chance season 6 could be our last.
It could. I mean, unless we start seeing a trend of numbers going up, we'll have to see. I mean,
that's true, or at least stay the same.
Yeah. I mean, the CW doesn't seem to need very strong numbers to keep a show going because the numbers that we have aren't actually that great when you consider bigger shows like Grey's Anatomy or something like those lines have 10 million viewers.
Yeah, but we also have a really specific topic on a small network. So
yeah. Cool. All right.
But that's all I got.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's all you got. Not really a lot of news, but cool. Well, let's get into our impressions of the show. You want to kick us off?
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
I think you like this one more than I did.
I think so too. All right. So I gave this an 8.0. So this is what they were saving all the encores for.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was definitely in a better headspace this week. I was not in a good headspace going into the episode last week, and I feel like it really kind of impacted my viewing. And so I actually really enjoyed this episode. I was in a better place. It's not my favorite of the season, but for me, it was one of the better ones. I actually really liked this kind of like murder mystery feel or like murder dinner party. I don't know. That's kind of what it felt like to me. And I liked that. And I definitely enjoyed the Constantine heavy storyline. I liked what they did with him and Zari. I thought they had a decent partnership. So I enjoyed the story overall. And we got a lot of movement on this Fate storyline. It's moving a little faster than I kind of thought, seeing as we have a good number of episodes still to go. I mean, this is episode 10. We've got 5 left. So I feel like having the loom together this seems early to me. This seems early.
Early for what? To
assemble the loom. I mean, with 5 episodes to go, shouldn't that be like the big... I feel like there should only be like 3 episodes to go or 2 episodes to go or something before they do that. Like, I don't think we're going to end on a cliffhanger, but although I guess we could because they knew we were renewed prior to finishing production. But I don't know. We'll just have to see.
It is possible. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's possible. You never know.
I don't know. What did you think?
Well, last week you were a bit off because you were kind of in a sour mood from your day and you just, Legends just couldn't pick it up for you. I think that happened to me too. And it wasn't so much because of my day. It was because I watched Flash first and Flash was awful. This week? It's just a bad episode. I don't know. And then I go into Legends going, okay, Legends, come on, pick it up. That one, I need a picker. And it just didn't do it for me. I was kind of in the same boat as you were last week. So I'm only giving this one a 6. And that is even after a second viewing. The second viewing, I kind of dozed off halfway through. So I don't know what was going on with this episode, but I'm giving it a 6 ways to prove we don't know what we're talking about. As in you and me.
As in us.
Because of the encores. So as you said, half the encore coins were in this episode. And because of that, they barely get half a story. For me, Jack the Ripper could have been a grim, freaky story to deal with. And Bonnie and Clyde could have been so much fun. I mean, just imagine Mick envying their escapades. I mean, doesn't he seem like he'd be the third wheel? He could be like make it a trio. I mean,
yes,
he would relate to them so much, and we could get a good what if Mick leaves the Legends to join Bonnie and Clyde's story. You know, and the team has to convince him this, don't go. Like, we could have had such a good story with those characters there. For me, this encore thing really dried up fast, and the fact that they brought it back and tried to piece it all together with the Loom story is what tore this one down for me. It was just too loose and too plot device heavy for me to really get to enjoy this story. And this comes from after we talked last week how, like, yeah, we're so sure they're dropping the encores because it just wasn't working. They've now, this is a turning point in the season, course correction, whatever you want to call it. that's what they're doing. And now they found the solid story to follow. And then, like I said, we don't know what we're talking about because here they brought it all back. And I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Yes, we had some great scenes with Zari and John and having Gary back, giving laughs. I rate this episode like as I rate all my episodes, and that's on overall story and entertainment. And this one just fell short for me. So
that's a fair assessment. I mean, I get it. That's kind of how I was feeling last week. I mean, although I felt like Flash and Legends for me were worse last week, and this week to me both were improved. But so that's interesting that we're opposite. I guess that's standard though. We don't usually agree, do we?
All right, well, let's get into our talking points. You want to kind of update our coin checklist here.
Yeah, I sure do. Okay. Let's look. At the end of last season, they only showed us 16 coins. I would like to say that if, and that's a big if, all the coins they showed come in, we're out now at 18, just after this episode. So,
jeez.
Not gonna lie, I think they definitely threw this out the window of like the 16, and I would be shocked if they even stay tied to the 8 that they showed us, because clearly it looks like they're not, right? And so, okay, so to bring this kind of back to our story and to attempt to kind of tie things together, it to me, it looks like they're trying to like find a way to have expanded Astra's like cash, quote unquote, from the ones that they kind of teased at the end of last season. They've shown her a few times like gambling and like doing other things to kind of increase her wealth so that she can ultimately take over hell. Plus, that's the whole point of what the Encores are there doing. Every soul that they kill is supposed to go back to her and to be like in her little vault. So, I mean, I think we're clearly supposed to assume that she's been gaining souls over time and has way more than the 16 coins she started with. So I'm kind of keeping track of them still, but I mean, unless they throw 20 at us, I'll try to continue to keep track of them. But from our original list, we didn't see any from our original list, so I don't know that I need to necessarily go through those. Or do you want me to go through those?
I mean, you can go through it if you want, just to kind of rhyme off the names. So just to remind everybody.
Just real quick.
Yeah.
All right. So of the 8 that we saw of the original 16, Stalin and Caligula, which we have not seen. Genghis Khan was in episode 6. Mary Tudor, Charles Manson, and John Wayne Gacy. None of those we've seen. Rasputin was in episode 2. And then there was a partially covered one that we theorized could be Lizzie Borden, because all we saw, I think, was ZIE and DEN. And those were the only things we could think of that fit with serial killers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Those are the quote originals. Now, the ones that were either hidden or now added because we've gone beyond the 16 that they showed. So we had Freddie Myers, who is in episode 4, Bugsy Siegel, who is episode 3, Marie Antoinette, episode 5, Damien Dark, episode 7, and then all in this episode, Clyde Barrow, Bonnie Parker, Jack the Ripper, Henry Tudor, Black Caesar, and Brutus.
Yep.
That brings us to 18, folks.
And how many of those were part of the names that we saw? None of them, right?
None.
They're all new.
These are all, quote, hidden, or I've added coins because we're beyond 16 now.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, instead of just skimming over the list, I mean, you and me both thought there's going to be no more Encores. That's what we talked about last week. And then they bring in a mix of them and get rid of them all in one episode. And I want to know why. Like, why would you think they would do that? Are they trying to just piece everything together and connect the two plot lines? Or just the Encores just seem kind of like a throwaway now.
Absolutely. They are.
I don't know. I mean, like I was saying in the beginning, like Jack the Ripper, I think he is worth a full episode to himself. I mean, can you imagine that could be a really creepy, maybe he's outwitting them because Jack the Ripper was notoriously hard to catch. So maybe he's outwitting the team and provides a good foil for one episode. I thought that would have been a fantastic episode and really creepy. And, our show is always bending the rules and leaning farther and farther into the more adult related kind of stuff. So with Jack the Ripper, they could have really pushed the boundaries.
They could have, but for a moment on Jack the Ripper, I liked what they kind of did at the beginning of this episode. He was kind of aloof. He was a bit creepy. At first I didn't catch on. I couldn't remember what his alias was or like what he went by. So when they introduced him as Dr. White, I was not immediately catching on that he was, Jack the Ripper. Figured out pretty quickly he was a serial killer by the way he was behaving, and then they showed the chloroform and the surgeon's scalpel. I mean, figured out pretty quick he was supposed to be a serial killer. But yeah, I didn't really pick up on Jack. I didn't think Jack the Ripper until Constantine clued us in. So I thought they did a decent job with having the creepy serial killer vibe in the beginning.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he did fine. I just, that's why I thought he was good enough. He could get a whole dedicated episode to himself if they stuck with the Encore idea, right? So,
yeah.
And like I said, with Bonnie and Clyde as well, I thought we could have had so much fun with Mick joining them for a short time, because he would get to do his bank robbing and his shooting and, all the stuff that Mick loves. I could have saw such a great friendship develop between the three of them. But what I found interesting with Bonnie and Clyde especially is that they're the ones, out of everybody that was there, they're the two that were outwitting the other Encores and taking them out. Like one by one, they were just basically shooting them. Which I thought, that's interesting that these guys were outwitting. I mean, outwitting Henry Tudor, Jack the Ripper himself is notoriously pretty smart. And, Brutus, I don't know if he was much of a war general or what. I don't know the history behind him, but just a couple of those guys, I didn't think Bonnie and Clyde could get the, one up them basically. And they did. So I actually found that kind of interesting. And, they too could have had a much more fuller episode for themselves.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move into our sections here. Let's talk about the fates. I know you got that on the list here first.
Yes, I do. Okay. So the first point that I kind of have here, and a lot of this is going to probably more or less go in chronological order, but this bit might jump around a little bit. But for now, we're going to start at the beginning, where we should start. So, all right. So we find out that Charlie/Clotho worked with Enchantress to shield the final ring from being found, because as it turns out, we find out later that if you actually wanted to find the ring, you couldn't actually find it, which I thought was kind of clever. So the harder people try to look for it, the less it just wants to be found. I kind of liked that bit.
Yeah, no, I like that angle too. Again, it had that Indiana Jones type of mystery flavor to it, for them to solve, which it's kind of what they've been doing with John Constantine a lot lately, giving him that bit of a Indiana Jones adventure feel, like where he's trying to solve the mystery using his magical totems and his different things. So I too like this idea that, you can't find the ring if you're looking for it. So stop thinking about it and it'll reveal itself to you. It was just a fun little neat idea.
Yeah, so I kind of like that. The only thing was, is it just me, or is this a completely different take on Enchantress? Because I thought she was supposed to be, a villain, and she's portrayed very differently in the movie universe, like very differently.
Yeah, OMG, totally. See, I showed Patty Spivot a picture of Enchantress last night, and she's like, oh, no wonder you like her. It's not that I like her, I just said this is not the one I know. Like, to me, the Enchantress is very tall, super long blonde hair with a very bright green, like a Green Arrow type of green outfit. And this did not look like Enchantress at all to me. I was like, okay, boy, they really cast it out of the box on this one and changed, which is, the actress was fine, nothing against her at all, but it just surprised me when they said Enchantress. What? That's not her. That was a complete change, but oh well, whatever. I'll post a picture on the Facebook page later of what the Enchantress. There's been a couple of them actually. They've changed her look over the years, so the movie universe one is especially different. The movie universe one, it looks very much more like the creepy girl with long black hair that crawls out of the TV in The Ring. That's what she looks like. But in the comic books, there's been two variants of her, and neither of them look like who they cast in this show. So yeah, it's just shocking was all.
Yeah, I put a link in our blog post that I kind of wrote up for the show, but yeah, she's in the comics, at least based on the rundown that I read on the DC Wiki, like she's incredibly powerful. This version of her just seemed really different. I thought it was cool, like what she could do. And I think they alluded to her being like very powerful and able to do more. But I don't know. It seemed very different from what I was kind of reading about her. And I haven't read any of her arcs in the comics. So, like, from what you know, is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know her super well. She has control over magical energies. She can manipulate objects. She can shoot out like a green energy blast. She's got like telekinesis, teleportation. She can alter reality and different things like that. So
yeah, it was a crazy rundown of her powers, like crazy.
Yeah, and they didn't really show her do much. I mean, she shapeshifted here or made herself. So I guess they were maybe touching on the comps a little bit, but you know, our TV shows they change it to whatever suits them on the show. So
that's true. Yeah, that's true. So I don't know, but I just thought it was interesting, worth bringing up. So it was a nice tie to the comics, but a completely different take. So
yeah, no, totally.
All right. Well, the other point I kind of have about her was she sides with Charlie, basically, which I thought was kind of interesting. So she's on Charlie/Clotho's side. Like, she agreed that she, agreed with her basically splitting up the Loom of Fate and hiding all of the pieces. She was just worried that she wouldn't, be able to run forever and kind of keep it up. So I thought that was interesting that, one, she kind of sided with her, quote, like shaking up humanity or whatever it is she says in the beginning. And then in the end, she must still be on their same side because she lets Constantine take the ring. Like, surely if she didn't believe in, I guess, our mission or what we were doing, she wouldn't have let them take it to assemble the Loom of Fate, right? Surely.
Yeah, I'm sure she's got something that she'll need payment for. Like, I don't even know what else more I can add to that.
I know.
She's helping them, but she just seemed mysterious about it. She seemed aloof about it. She's going to come back around later and say, hey, remember I did this for you? You owe me now. That's the feeling that I got from her.
Interesting. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I kind of, it felt like, I mean, she definitely felt more all-knowing, I guess, to me. Or maybe she's not, and that's the point. I just feel like if she didn't think they were going to do something good, that she wouldn't have even allowed them to find it in the first place. Because, I mean, we find out very clearly that she is obviously there the whole time. She's Mrs. Hughes, which I found very funny. I have a few more points on that later. But
yeah, we'll come back to her, sure.
All right. Well, the next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, so this is going to jump later in the episode, but it kind of keeps with the Fate storyline. So I'm going to talk about Lachesis and kind of what she did. She stole Astra's coins. Now, she tells Astra it's because they were a distraction. She's, basically grooming her to become a Fate, I guess. Like, do we basically believe her? Are we taking her at face value, or is she just doing this to manipulate her to get the loom? Part of me thinks it's a little bit of both, but I'm really leaning towards her just being manipulative so that she can get everything back together, because, I mean, Charlie said it herself, that's what she does.
Yes, that's exactly, I think the point you hit on is that I think she's just manipulating her because, I mean, first of all, what my question was, what is she distracting her from? From what? To just getting the pieces for her and grooming her to be the next Fate sister. I think we'll talk about that, but it's hard for me to believe it that they would just pick somebody, especially a lowly human being, a mortal, to get ultimate power and become the sisters of Fate. I mean, usually gods like this that are of the darker side of things, they don't care. They don't want to help any. They don't want to give anyone rise to power. They want all that power and control themselves. There's no way they're going to share that with anybody. So you bet it's definitely going to be manipulating her to get what they want for their ultimate power. Because I don't even think they want Charlie back. I don't, Clotho, no. I think they want to. They're done with her. They just want to get the loom back, and that'll be it. It'll just be the two of them in control.
Yeah, but can they do that? It almost seems like there has to be three.
That's a good question. I don't know. It just seems they both seem so upset with Clothos right now that I don't know. It's hard to tell. I guess that's one of those points we wait and see.
Yeah, that's true. We'll just have to wait and see. So
Now, the other thing that I thought was cool, what she stated here, is that she's the one that actually makes the soul coins. Lachesis I'm talking about here.
yeah.
So I thought, well, that's actually an interesting point to just throw out there, that she makes the coins because she's the one who controlled the fates. Well, in a
Yes.
way, she still is controlling people's fates by having these coins of their lives, because we saw with Constantine's coin, they can just open it up, crank the dial, and speed up his life to death, right? So
Yep.
in a way, she is still controlling people's fates without the loom. So
Yeah. Well, I think she even says as much, like that it's a shadow of her like former power or something like that, when she's trying to explain who she is and what they can do to Astra. So yeah, no, I mean, and we had kind of theorized that a few weeks ago, that she was Lachesis because she was making these coins. I mean, that's definitely what led me to the theory for sure.
yeah. And then, I mean, we were talking about it, was it last week or the week before, when Sarah kicked Atropos out of the Wave Rider in the time machine? We're debating, can she survive that? We assume she should. She's a god, right? And
Yeah.
she just walks out from the back room here. Oh, hey, no explanation. No, hey, this is how I survived. No shock or surprise. It's just, she was there. So I think we just guessed properly, and that's it. No explanation. She's just a god. No problem.
End of story. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'd kind of forgotten she got kicked out into the time stream when she just showed up there. I was like, oh yeah, okay, there she is.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
But all right. So I mean, we sort of already touched on this last point of the fates, I guess, offering Astra Clotho's position as a fate. Like, to me, that was just so interesting that they can even do that. But I guess if Charlie's mortal, I guess why not? They're still gods technically, even though Charlie's not.
Yeah, I mean, just continuing the conversation, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, can gods give power to mortals to make them gods as well? I guess if you're a god, you can. I don't know if there's rules, because I always go back, and every time we're talking about gods as multiples,
Yeah.
I go back to the Greek gods. I think of Zeus and Apollo and Athena and all those guys, and they were able to do whatever they wanted, but they also had rules that they had to follow. There were certain things that they couldn't break, and when they broke one of those rules, the other gods would come and punish them for it. So I wonder about this, if that's something they're just able to do if they wanted to. I don't know. I mean, again, the TV show is playing with the whole idea of Greek gods here, so they'll write their own version of that history anyway. And I just don't think they're going to. It still comes back around to you saying they're manipulating her. They're tempting her with ultimate power and being one of the fates, immortality, all that kind of stuff. I mean, what lowly mortal like one of us would deny that? Why would we say no? Like, live forever, have immortal power, mess with people's lives like, puppets on strings? Heck yeah, I'm in.
Sounds great.
So it's a massive temptation, and she's obviously, or she keeps swinging back and forth to whether she's going to take it or not.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just have to see. All right. Well, anything else on the storyline, or do you want to dig into the meat of the episode?
Yeah, let's get to Constantine and Zari.
All right. So this is kind of the main storyline, and let me tell you, I really dug Take Charge Zari. Really loved it. And she was not letting up on John, that's for sure. I loved that scene in the beginning where she tells John to basically figure out how to find Enchantress, and she's like, calls him a magic man. She's like, isn't that, like what you do? It was just, I loved everything about it. So characters kind of coming around for me when she kind of, this version of it, like I can take it or leave, like the whole Valley Girl thing. That's kind of starting to get a little much, but I liked this where she was a bit more serious. I'm like, no, you're going to do this and you're going to do this now. So I thought that was pretty great. It feels like there's definitely been like a turning point for this character this episode. So we'll just have to see. But what did you think about these scenes?
I think so. I think with your last point there, I think for the character, her brother dying is the kick in the butt she needed to get off her social media high horse, basically, and think she's all that. Because really, that's what it was. And I mean, this change too. It's all because of Tala Ash. I mean, she's simply amazing. She seems to be able to work opposite any of the other cast. It doesn't matter if it's for comedy, for tension, drama, romantic endeavors, whatever. I mean, she just seems to flow from each different part with ease, and she's so good at it. Even though the social media mogul is annoying, you can't deny that she's playing it really well, because that's exactly what so many people are like that are in the social media world. So I just find it funny that she can mimic it so well. But yeah, she just did so great in this episode. I love that the story kind of focused on her for a good portion of this episode, and she got to perform. She got to break out of, that role a little bit and expand, like you were saying. The only thing that bugged me was her hair. Like, what was that bun thing that they made out of her hair?
They're definitely doing some different stuff with their hairstyles. I think they're trying to make them look, I guess, more futuristic because she's from the future.
I don't know. It was bad. I mean, anyway. What I liked, though, was when, she had... So I don't know if this is going to ruin some of your funny lines or not, but she had quite a good zippers in this one, like one-liners, singers, I guess is the better word.
Yes.
When I love that she just pointed out to John, she goes, "You always wear the same outfit every day." And we've been picking on John for that all the time. I love that she actually said it in the episode. Thanks for pointing that out. Sorry. I enjoyed that.
I know. It always makes me giggle when they point it out actively on the show, the different stuff that people make fun of the show for. I love it when they do that. Makes me laugh every time.
Totally. Yeah. She was so good.
Okay. Well, so here's the majority of the story, right? John and Zari are transported back in time because they're trying to find the last ring for the Loom of Fate. Now, to get there, I actually thought this was a really cool bit of magic where John is having to kind of borrow energy from everyone to kind of make the spell work. And plus, it just makes for a good, funny scene that may or may not be coming back later. I thought it was kind of cool. I always enjoy it when they do some different stuff with John's magic that, we've never seen before. And I feel like they're getting a lot more creative with him and kind of getting more into the spirit of the character this season for sure.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, they kind of were like amplifiers for him. He connected them all up with some wiring and amplified the signal that he needed. So that's how I took it. It was pretty fun, and it just seems like for his character right now, there isn't much that he doesn't know how to do, which is kind of cool. Like, whatever situation they get in, he's got a magical trick to help them out, and it's cool. It's making him useful. It's making him be a valuable member of this team, which is something that you guys know I questioned 2 seasons ago when they introduced him. And even last season, I was like, he's a one-trick pony. I mean, all they can do is fight, send demons back to the underworld. I don't know. But this season, they found a way to flesh him out a little bit and make him useful. And I'm really enjoying him.
Yeah, they're having his magic function more like a superpower. So I like that.
Yeah.
But he is kind of a jack of all trades in that respect. There's not much he can't do, although he does have limitations, hence the reason why he needed to borrow everyone's energy this episode. So,
which is good to see. It's good to see that he's got a limit. He's not endless in his power that he can draw on, which is good. For sure. Yeah. All right, so moving back on to Enchantress. So I caught this on the second watch. I did not get this at all in the first watch. It went completely over my head. But I definitely feel like she's trying to help them, because one of the first things that Mrs. Hughes says to them is, if you want to find something, you just need to stop looking. Yeah.
She told us within the first 5 minutes exactly what we needed to do. And also, that's the nod to exactly who she is. I mean, were you fooled? I totally was. I didn't catch on the first watch at all.
I did not get that it was her until her reveal when she shapeshifted back at the very end there. I just thought she was some old lady from that time period, and she's just work in the boarding house. I mean, why would you, in the beginning of the episode, why would you think anything more of it? She was bubbling a little bit and friendly old lady. Like it's
I will say about halfway through, I felt like it was odd that she was so comfortable with basically people dressed as Brutus, Henry Tudor, you know what I mean? With like the very odd ensemble in her living room. I thought it was a bit odd she was taking that all in stride, but I was like, if they're paying customers, I guess you take what you get.
And that could have been the payoff for us, that we should have known something's afoot there, because obviously knowing now that she's the Enchantress knows who all these people are. It doesn't seem out of the ordinary because she knows the situation. But yeah, that should have been the tipping of the hat for us right there. Why isn't she reacting? Because that back in that time period, you don't see people like that wandering in. Nobody dresses like that, not even for costume parties. That's like, yeah, that should have been our clue. But
she stayed in character for Zari's marriage slip. Because John tried, he's like, well, this is my wife. And she's like, no. So she stayed in character for that bit. But
now, the other thing that I didn't recognize, I had no idea that was John's house until he actually said, this is my house. I know my way around it. What? I'm looking at it. Okay, the house has changed. It did not look like his house to me.
No, yeah. They did some different set dressing to make it appear older and as if it were a boarding house, like, back in the day. And so, yeah, no, they had, I feel like he said it, like when they fell back through, he's like, he was able to anchor the ring to the house, but not to the time period. So that's how they ended up traveling back in time.
Yeah. I over my head, I missed the connection, but
yeah.
So Zari as Cleopatra.
Oh, yes. Okay. I loved this whole leak out. Tala just kills it. She absolutely kills it when she gets to stretch a little bit and do more like this, like to then just be like the Valley Girl, or even just be like OG Zari, because I feel like OG Zari is way more in line with her actual personality, maybe less bitter, less sarcastic, but she's definitely a strategist. And I love that they highlighted that, because she's very, very smart. And even though this Zari is different, she's still every bit a strategist. I mean, it is very difficult to pull off being a social media mogul and an influencer, and doing what she does. You've got to be good and you've got to be smart. And so I love that they made her Cleopatra, and that they brought in that she was a strategist. Oh, just shows her smarts. She even gets to upstage John a bit. I don't know. I loved it. I think this is what made the episode for me, is her being Cleopatra and like just upstaging John a little bit. I don't know. They made a good team at the end of the day. I liked it.
And you wonder why Zari became a fan favorite so fast. It's because of scenes like this. I mean, she commanded that scene as if she really was Cleopatra. Even Brutus fell for it. And you think he knows her best. You think he would have recognized her or something. I don't know what the history is if he never got to see her, because he says, I never got to meet you. Maybe he never actually saw her up close. I don't know. But she did it so well that even he fell for it. And this was also very reminiscent of her original Isis character. And look, I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yes, good point.
Yeah, so I think they were kind of tipping the hat to her origin, that, Zari is pulling from the Isis character. We've just never seen her look like it. So that was as close as I think we're going to get to her Isis outfit, which was cool. Even though she's playing Cleopatra, I thought it was still a draw in it. But yeah, like I said, Zari and Tala Ash just playing their role. She commanded that whole scene, and it was great.
Oh God, I know. I love her. Oh, I love her. I hope she goes on to like amazing things after this, because she's so great. Anyways. All right. So more character growth for Zari. She feels super, super guilty for Berat Seth, because she's wearing the totem. So I didn't actually even think about this or realize that until she stated it. But she feels responsible. She feels guilty for him dying. And I didn't even pick up on that before.
Yeah, like it's someone opposite of her first go around is how I was thinking about it. Like now she feels like it's her fault that he's gone, when before it wasn't her fault that it was gone. She was fighting to tear down the organization that killed him. Yeah. And got the totem. She stole the totem from them. So it's kind of, she's in a bit of an opposite position almost. And yeah, and like you said, that's the point that is sending her on this new path to be a little bit tougher, to be a little bit more caring about what's actually happening in the world beyond her social media popularity. So it's a good change for her. So I hope it continues to grow from here, because often, I mean, even in real life, it takes tragedy To change someone,
Yes.
to make someone make a decision or to change the path they're on, it takes tragedy. So that's
it
cool.
does.
Yeah.
It completely does. I mean, I can 100% say that from personal experience. I completely altered the course of my life because of a personal tragedy. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's very crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
But, oh man. Okay. Can we talk about the fact that you finally figured out how to wield the totem? Because that was awesome.
Nah, I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on.
Oh my God. I loved it. And then her and John, like, he gets to do some cool magic. She does some cool magic. Oh, loved it. So fun.
I love the bullet deflection. That
Yes.
was the funnest part for me because she's just throwing air and, she's trying to figure it out and she's keeping them at bay. But then she actually deflected the bullet and it bounced off a couple things and ended up shooting Bonnie right back. So
Yes.
I thought that was fun to me. It was cool to see. It was so hopefully that's something more that they continue, that she starts to figure it out now. And to me, that's kind of a hint that Bayrod's not coming back. Because if she starts wielding the power, she's basically becoming Zari again. It's just a newer version of her.
Right. So then she becomes the totem bearer once again. I'm going to be surprised. Like, I know this is kind of the whole point of like the journey they're trying to take us on, is to see if Bayrod can come back. But I would be shocked just based on the fact, like the way that Atropos stated what she stated. Like she's like, you shouldn't be here. Your fate has run out. And she cuts his thread, if you will, because that's what she does. So I would be quite surprised based on that statement if he even really came back at all. I know we kind of postulated of if it's the Loom of Fate, is this like an all or nothing thing? Is this like a Spear of Destiny thing where you can change whatever you want? I mean, it's just really interesting to me, like how they're going to be able to do this. Like, can they only change Astra's fate? Can they change them both? Or can they not now bring Bayrod back because, I don't know, Zari's kind of like becoming woke in like a different way? I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. They've almost written themselves into a corner with this one. If they bring him back, how are they going to explain them both being on this timeline? That he essentially replaced her, and now she's becoming her old self, which doesn't make sense. So that's why he doesn't belong there, like the Fate said. He doesn't.
Yeah.
If she's slowly coming back in, so if you look at that drawing on the glass board he did, are the two timelines merging now? Are they coming back together? I hope they explain it a little bit more. I hope when we see ultimately what happens with this storyline, do they explain it?
Yeah, I hope they explain it a little bit more and we get to see more of what's going on, especially because they called OG Zari 1.0, whatever you want to call her, a temporal echo. So yeah, I don't know. So if she's an echo, does that mean she can come back? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I'm curious. Either way, I'm along for the ride. So
yeah, me too.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to talk about the thing that I think everybody except me hated. There's definitely a spark between John and Zari, y'all. I'm just saying.
Now, was it a spark for...
Oh, yeah. Did you see that look?
Was it a spark to start a fire, or was it a spark because they just survived a pretty crazy situation together? And that quite often happens with people, is when they go through something like that together, the emotions, everything that's wound up, you can't help but feel there's a magnetism between the two people that just experience the same thing together. So it could either just be that and it's going to be gone, or this is something they're going to deal with. I don't know. But to me, it's just like, do we need a John, Zari, and Nate triangle? Do we need that now? I mean, why? Why do we need that? Why? I don't know why. This is why people are upset. I don't think you need that. I mean, I don't. We know the type of character John is. He is not looking for a lasting relationship. John is the type that will just get with anyone because he's looking for a quick shag. That's John. But Zari doesn't do that, especially this. I can't see this social media mogul being someone like that. So I just find it very weird, and that's why I say I think it's just the feeling of experiencing that situation together was all it was, and it should fizzle out, I think.
We'll see. No, I don't know. I thought they made a good team. I don't think they need a romance, but
no, they made a good team. Yeah, just leave it at that.
Yeah, but there's definitely a spark. Just saying.
The fandom and all these sparks and shipping and whatever you want to call it. Man, I'm just
I
tired
know.
of it. Leave it alone. It's because everyone talks about it in social media that the CW is like, oh, everybody loves that. Hey, let's make more relationships and screw up the shows, waste valuable screen time by doing relationship stuff. Like, no, I want time travel, sci-fi, superhero stuff. That's what we're here for.
Oh, goodness. Well, we'll see what
Boring,
they end up
poor Harley. Rant.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I'm yawning because it's been a long day and it's only 10. We're doing actually really good. Okay.
Well,
Do you have
let's go
any
visit
more?
hell.
Yes. I was going to say, do you have any more points on the other storyline? No? You
Nope.
good?
I'm ready to go to hell.
Right. All right. So down to hell we go. The legends visit hell, and oh man, speaking, I don't know what it is. I love it when the women take charge, man. Ava takes charge too, and as much as I hate to see Sarah sidelined, oh, she kills it as captain. Just saying.
But why did they sideline Sarah? Why? I see no reason for that. Why did they take her out of this episode? There was no talk about her directing again.
I have no idea.
The only thing that I can
looking.
see is that it's they're trying to fill out Ava's story. And the only way they can fill out Ava's story is to push Sarah aside to let Ava grow as a captain or as a backup captain. And it's like they haven't figured out Ava's story. And other than being Sarah's girlfriend, what are we going to do with her now? She's not running the Time Bureau anymore. She's not in charge of anything. So what are we going to do with her? Well, we have to give her, a backup role. Let's see if her leadership can translate from the Time Bureau to running the Wave Rider and running a team again. Well, we got to get rid of Sarah to do that because when Sarah's there, she's our captain, and Ava's just a standby. That's the only thing I can see to figure this out. Why they would do that, and I'm not happy with it. I love Ava. Give her something better than can I be a leader when Sarah's not around? There's got to be a better story for her, like the cloning. They've mentioned it twice now in the show. Let's get back to that.
They keep mentioning it. I don't know if it'll come back. We'll just have to see what they do with it. Or if they're just going to keep mentioning it because it's an obviously major plot point, I guess. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Okay, well, we'll figure out what's up with Sarah. I'm certain she'll be back. I'm sure it all has to do with some form of magical whatever is happening with her that's supposed to manifest something. We're going to talk about what's going on with Sarah in a minute. Let's just get through hell first. Okay.
Let's get through
These
hell.
are super quick points. Like my notes are, I'm reading them word for word. So the next point I have, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Or is she?
See, this was fun. This is part of the behind the scenes stuff too, because most people I don't think our listeners know that you put together all the notes. That's kind of your task, your job of co-hosting the show. You put together all the notes, and then I respond to everything you say and then add my own stuff. Yes. I do all the editing. I do all the sound and audio editing and fixing up. So that's my side of the job. So that's kind of where we split the duties.
Yeah, we tag team social media. I like Twitter. You like Facebook. It works out.
Yeah, so, it works out. And there you go. So, yeah, the enemy of the enemy is my friend. So I don't understand Astra's motivations. This is part of why there's so many things in this episode that brought it down for me. And having Astra back in it, again, she's so back and forth. And I've kind of lost interest in her. I like that they switched and changed it to the Looms of Fate. Or the Loom of Fate with the sisters, and I didn't like that they brought this back. For me, I think if Astra was still a little girl and she was lost in hell and she was scared, and John Constantine is still gut-wrenched that he could not save this little girl, and every once in a while she's calling out and she's in trouble and he has to go to rescue her. I think that would be more heart-wrenching for me to watch than having this now full-grown Astra trying to be badass and fighting, and she just can't make up her mind. I'm going to help John. Well, I'm going to go for the Sisters of Fate. No, I'm going to go help John again. No, I'm going to be out for myself. I've lost interest in Astra's story because of that, and it's unfortunate. The Loom of Fate and this whole mythological, historical kind of setting is far more intriguing to me, and I don't know what they're going to do with Astra, and I don't know what they're going to, which way they're. It's the back and forth thing is driving me crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see. I agree. It's kind of a bit back and forth. It's, I guess, a little wishy-washy. I don't know. I feel like I feel like they're trying to illustrate that she's torn, right? She's torn between saving her real mother and she's torn between saving or joining, I guess, not really saving, but joining her, quote, foster mom, because Lachesis is who raised her, basically. I mean, she's been in hell since she was, what, 10, 12?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I feel like, I mean, I feel like that's what they're trying to get across, and maybe because she just doesn't have that much meat in every episode, it's just not quite coming across that way, but that's kind of how I feel her story is. Like she's torn between her real mother, who, she basically hasn't known in over a decade, if not more, and, between her foster mother who raised her. So, I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah, that's a valid point. I can't really argue that it's a valid point, but yeah.
All right, so my final point here. Astra joins the Legends. ?
And all I can say is that's not cool, Harley. That is not cool. Why? You don't need her. What is she gonna do?
Well, I don't know.
Do you think that's a possibility? Do you really think they would consider that?
I mean, at least momentarily, they brought her back from hell. I mean, so far as I know, is this not her first stint on mortal soil in a very, very, very long time?
Yeah, true. Let's talk about Sarah. That's much more interesting.
All right. So what's going on with Sarah? We're not really sure what's going on with Sarah, right? So she has very little time in this episode. She's seeing things before they happen. It's like some form of time displacement. I don't know. Gideon does some brain scan and says some fake science mumbo jumbo. So it looks like she can kind of see the future a little bit. What are you thinking with this?
I'm just happy. This is fine. Like something actually really interesting about this episode. This is what I wanted to get to, because they made this such a small little bit of the episode. I'm like, oh, that is what I want to know, because she's changing. Our little white canary is spreading her wings. Something is happening to her, and this is what I want to know. This is the story I want to follow. I don't care about Astra. I don't care about the Encores. What is happening to our captain? And she's seeing the future. She's seeing it moments before something happens. But why? That's what I can't figure out. I mean, the obvious thing for me is that it's linked to her powers emerging. There's something there. But could it be a side effect of the blast from Atropos?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely related. So I can't tell if it's a side effect or if the blast has like awakened something. But either way, I think it's a direct result of her interaction with Atropos for sure.
Yeah, because that's what we read in one of the release notes or something. They had said there's something along those lines.
Sickness or something.
Yeah, medical sickness. So this is it. I mean, she's knocked out. She's in a coma. So she's probably going to wake up with her new abilities fully intact, and now she just has to figure out how to use them. Is what's going to happen. But I love that they're just slowly showing us it change. I mean, this is good writing. This is a good plot line to follow, because we've now seen a couple things happening, and it's got us all curious. It's got us going, what is happening with Sarah? And we want to know. So yeah.
I'm definitely interested to see. So I hope we get to see more of it next week. I don't know if we will or not. But.
Me too. Yeah, she better not be in a coma for like 3 episodes. I'll be pissed off.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. I mean, she'd get some well-deserved time off, but that wouldn't be great. So we'll just have to see what they do with it.
But you know what? That could be why they are grooming Ava to be the backup captain, because Sarah might be out of it for a couple.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's a good point. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I had one more note here. I don't know if it's anything. I was kind of just trying to document what's going on with her because we didn't get a lot on her. But John's spell, when he's borrowing the energy from them and from their auras, that's what seems to be too much for her to handle and what ultimately puts her in the coma. I don't know that I know why, but that's kind of all I got. That's kind of what happened. So I don't know. What do we do with that? Do you have any theories?
Yeah, I wasn't sure what happened there either. I mean, she saw the future with Ava running to her side, and then she collapsed. And sure enough, Ava runs to her side. That's exactly what you just saw. Like I said, moments before it happens, she sees it.
Yep.
So was it John pulling too much from her? Because he, like we said, he was pulling on their energies like batteries or like amplifiers. So maybe he drew too much from her because her body is in a state of flux right now. Things are changing. Her powers are emerging, and maybe she couldn't handle losing any energy, let alone an amount of it. So
Yeah.
it leaves me curious, and I can't wait to see what they do with her, what kind of powers she's going to emerge with. But obviously that drain was enough to knock her out. She's in a coma, and now her body's healing. Liken it to her being a butterfly. She's going, or a caterpillar going into a cocoon to emerge a butterfly. This is her cocoon, I think. And she's going to emerge a new canary.
Ooh, I like that. That's kind of fun. Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Now, just a couple things I had at the end here before we get into our quotes. I love, and we've talked about this so many times on the show. I love when they go so far back in time to historical periods like ancient Egypt. It's just so lavish. It's extravagant. Those are the set designs that I enjoy. I love it. This is what time travel to me is all about. Quit going back to the 70s and the 60s and things that we know because it's so recent. There's not really much difference between that time and now. You go back to ancient Egypt, it's beautiful. We don't get to see enough of that kind of stuff. So I just love that they did. Even though it was brief, they still did it.
Yeah. It was brief, but as soon as we saw it, I was like, oh, it's ancient Egypt. And I was like, hang on a second.
Are the hawk people coming?
Yeah, I was like, this is very deja vu. I was like, who are we going to see? And then it's Charlie / Clotho. So I was like,
Could you imagine if the hawk people made a quick appearance there? That would have been.
Oh my, or Vandal Savage. I think I would have died if Vandal Savage had appeared in that scene. Like, I would have died.
Well, it's funny you bring it up because his name got mentioned again this episode.
It did. Who is Vandal Savage? I love it.
It's so funny. I love it. And the other thing, we got Gary back.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Gary.
we didn't get to talk. I mean, he was the backup Constantine for this. They counted on him to perform the magic. So I loved seeing him be able to do it. He's showing some progression himself as an apprentice because that's what he's doing. I love the story for him apprenticing under John. It just seems like a good fit for him. Even though he doesn't seem like someone that would be wielding dark magic, I think the story suits him.
Oh, yeah.
I find the show is funnier when he's in an episode. There's been times when they've kind of focused too much on his stupid kind of humor, but when he's in it for a little bit, it makes our show funnier. And he had one of the funniest lines ever, and I don't know, again, I looked at your quotes. This one isn't in it. I should almost pull it because it's just too funny. I love when he said, "Oh, it's a small underworld after all."
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did end up choosing 3 quotes this week because I couldn't pare them down, and I tried to keep them longer, but there were so many good little one-liners. But I try to make them longer if I can. So. Yeah,
I got them. I got them all in here. I just love Gary. He had a few good ones in here, and it cracked me up. So
he really did. Yeah, he was really good. I enjoyed him. I know we didn't talk much about him, but man, I enjoy that character. Better in small doses, but I do. He's really good. So
yeah, he's one that I hope they keep coming around. He's far better than Mona, and he's far better than we had another character like that. Like he feels part of the team and feels like a character they can rely on him. They can trust him. He wants to be there so badly. He wants to be a legend. And
yeah.
They can trust him, and I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, let's move into our quotes of the week.
Sounds good.
Shape out an eagle!
So what was your winner from last week?
The winner was Donuts and Cuddles.
Whoa, did you just beat me?
Barrod, I don't know how to play video games, but it's like I'm being haunted by someone who does. Someone who dresses like a teenage boy and makes me do awful things like eat donuts and cuddle with Nate.
Oh, watching her reaction is so much better.
Okay, what did you have for us this week? What did you found 3, so when I saw you do 3, I also picked out 3. I said, why not? I'll find 3.
Why not? Okay, so the first quote that I have for this week is called Ring Around the Johnny.
Ring Around the Johnny. Here it is.
I'm going to need to borrow a little bit of magical energy off you lot to help amplify the summoning spell. Exactly how does that work?
That's easy. All I need to do is keep your mouth shut and let me use your auras like batteries.
Is this safe? It doesn't sound safe.
It isn't. Any more questions? Good. Let's hold hands.
I love it. That doesn't sound safe.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Awesome. All right, what's number 2?
Comparisons.
Oh, and by age 15, I built a social media empire valued at over $500 million. The New York Times called me the most influential influencer of my generation.
Oh, the New York Times, eh?
Yeah, it's like an app that tells you the news.
So, your superpower is that you're, sort of popular.
Oh, calling me sort of popular is like calling Da Vinci sort of a genius.
Great. Got it.
They were good together, those two.
Oh, they sure were. It's like an app that tells the news. I was like, oh, God.
And your final one, what's your third, your bonus?
The bonus one, which is arguably one of the better ones, is called The Apprentice.
I feel like somebody has to ask you, are you 100% certain you want Gary to take you to hell?
I was kind of wondering the same thing.
Look, Gary's the only wizard I have access to, and besides, I'm not only taking Gary down there, I'm gonna need some extra muscle, too.
Well, thank you for noticing the extra reps I've been putting on the lat machine.
You ready, Mick?
Oh.
Oh, Mick, I thought you were taking some time off to hang out with the kid.
She told me to go to hell. Where are we headed?
The portal to hell is ready, Captain. All that's left is for me to drink some of this demon blood.
Come on, Gary.
The timing of that one is just perfect.
Oh, it's so great.
All right, moving on to serious scenes. Our winner. You know what? You actually are. We're gonna have to change yours to comedy scenes now because you're not just picking one-line zingers.
I know. I was definitely looking for longer ones, at least this week for sure.
All right. Last week's winner for serious scene was No Shortcuts.
Wait. I'm sorry. Rory, it was a terrible idea, and I never should have suggested it, okay? Rory, listen to me. We can fix this.
No, we can't.
Yes, we can. Look, I made a mistake, and I feel really bad, but that doesn't give us the right to keep hurting Lita any more than we already have, right? Maybe it's not about the gifts and the money and the big birthday parties, you know? I think it's time that you go back in there and do what we should have done from the beginning.
Go back and kick myself in the...
No. Just go tell her you're sorry.
Guess you're right. No shortcuts.
Aw.
Yeah.
I like that one for Mick. That's good.
Yeah, that was a good one. All right, what do you have for us this week?
You know, I did actually struggle finding some heavy scenes in this one, like just because that's usually, you guys know, I usually like to look for something that really pulls at the heartstrings or something that's dramatic and just, and this episode didn't have that. But there's a couple things I did find I want to play with. And this first one was, and I think this is a first, within the first minute of the episode, I'm calling this one On the Nose. And it's because Enchantress is talking to Charlie about the world needing a shakeup right now. And I thought, wow, look at the state of our world right now. Is that on the nose or what? I mean, they didn't plan that because this was filmed weeks and weeks ago, right?
It was. Yeah, this has been produced and in the can for a while. So yeah, that's crazy.
So the fact that she's saying that it's good for the world and he's a bit of a shakeup every now, like, anyway, I'm going to play the clip. It just blew me away that was in here. So here's On the Nose.
I imagine this has something to do with your theft of the Loom of Fate. You disapprove? No. Humanity's status quo should be shaken up every few millennia. It's good for them.
Yeah. Quick and simple like that. See, I've had a shorter scene than your comedies. That's also a first.
It is also a first. Yeah. But that was a good one. I liked that point. That was kind of what led me to a lot of that she's on our side, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. And like I said, the actress is good. I just love the way she says, yes. No. Like, she's very sultry and very, she's playing the Enchantress well. So, all right. My second one is called Grand Entrance, and this one needs no explanation.
Greetings, subjects. I'm your queen, Cleopatra.
You don't have, I can't say anything to that. How do you top that as a...
Mm-hmm. And did you see his look?
Uh-huh.
Just saying.
Yeah, whoa. All right, the last one is probably, this is the one serious scene I could find. I'm calling it John's weakness, and this is when he's talking about how the loom is tempting him, and he knows it.
I'm not thinking about the ring.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
So you're just gonna accept failure when we're this close? I'm not giving up.
Oh, I don't see it as giving up so much as accepting reality. I know myself. I'm a ripe old mix of guilt and torment. If the Loom of Fate offers me even one glimmer of hope at redemption for all my past sins, particularly Astra, then I'll never not be thinking about it.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Yeah.
So there you go, guys. There's our quotes of the week. Arlie will get the polls up for you guys to vote.
Yes, I will get them up.
All right, let's get into, you know what, I think we've missed this, 1 or 2 weeks in a row. We have not gone feedback.
I feel like I always do. No?
We missed it 1 week.
Well.
Planetary powers, activate!
All right, take her away. Kick us off with an email from Tails, who is here with us. And I think it looks like, Bianca joined us and Patty Spivot is back. Yay. Hi, guys.
Yay.
What does Tails have to say?
All right. Hey, Flash and Harley. Good episode this week, even with the lack of Sarah in it. I quite enjoyed the team up of Zari 2.0 and Constantine. I know they were going for a romantic pairing there, and while I don't love the idea of that pairing, almost anything is better than Nate and Zari. I hope it doesn't become some horrible three-way love triangle thing, although I think it will. Loved the Ava storyline in this episode. I like it when she gets to take charge every now and then, and the Legends trip down to Hell felt like some weird crossover event, but it was nice to see a merging of the storylines that have been so separate this season. Also, it was weird to see Ava look so small. Is the actress that plays Astra insanely tall, or is Katie Lotz just really short? That's kind of funny. I don't actually know the answer to that.
I think Astra wears crazy heels. You see them a couple times, and they're like 5-inch heels or something. So that's probably gave her a lot of that height.
That's crazy. All right. All in all, I think they have done a great job with balancing the serious and the comedy in this episode. Looking forward to the podcast, Tales.
Awesome. Yeah, you know what? After all this talk, guys, I think I'll bump it up to a 7. I know I kicked it off with a 6. I'll bump it up to a 7. It's been fun discussing it. So there you go, guys. See, you can change the show on the fly. What is that? The timeline is malleable.
There we go. Yes, it takes time for it to cement, right?
Right. Awesome. All right, Tails, thanks for that email. Next up is Kerry Johnson, who was with us. He may still be with us. I don't know. He says, I may be in the minority here, but I'm tempted to give this episode a perfect rating. Whoa, okay. You must not like how I started off this episode.
So he's more in line with me.
Probably. So he says, here's my argument. We should just get him on here. You can read his own email, but he says, point 1, rather than solely relying upon exposition, the episode opened with great use of time travel, taking us to ancient Egypt and providing more insight into Clotho/Charlie and the Loom. Using the Loom story to make Charlie relevant and compelling is more impressive to me than the Russo brothers using Avengers Endgame to make the events of Thor: The Dark World relevant to the MCU. Huh. Okay, wow, that's an interesting comparison. I'll have to think about that a little more before I can respond to that. He says, the episode really did a good job of teasing the ramifications of Sarah's encounter with Atropos. I think we all like a little bit of mystery rather than the show just saying, hey, Sarah has a power. By teasing it this way, we are all pretty intrigued by what it can be. That's pretty good storytelling. Yes, exactly. That's why this was my favorite part of the episode, because that is intriguing. Just give us a little bit and let us try to figure it out. Let us talk about it. Let us wonder what's coming. That's good writing. And continues, Hellblazari.
I love that.
That's hilarious. I don't know if I want them together, but that's going to be my ship name for John and Zari. Hellblazari. Being together in the UK, looking for the piece of the loom, gave the two characters and actors more time to experiment with the chemistry they've been exhibiting for a couple of episodes now. Going back to Dawn of Justness. On the surface, they are polar opposites, so it's nice to see their back and forth banter. For older folks, I'd say it reminds me of David and Maddie from Moonlighting. Oh, yes. Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. I am an older folk.
I guess I'm not.
Underneath it all, they both put up walls to shield their feelings. John uses sarcasm and alcohol. Zari 2.0 hides behind aloofness, and that's where they are more alike than not. While I'm still not on board for a relationship, it's a fun dynamic to explore.
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved Zari opening up to him. Oh my gosh. Loved that scene, that whole conversation.
Mm-hmm. He continues, Hell Blazari's ordeal also afforded us a chance to see more encores. While the encores have been hit and miss, at least it's not being a plot that was totally dropped. The way it was used was cohesive, a bit creepy with Jack the Ripper, and fun with Bonnie and Clyde and the Brutus jokes. Encores brought a good balance to the episode. I'll give you that, Carrie. I'm coming around a little bit more just for this episode, though.
I liked the murder mystery feel. It kind of, I don't know, it felt fun. I liked it.
Yeah. Ava, Mick, and Gary, so glad to see him again, were a great pairing going down to hell. A great threesome, I would say, going down to hell. And I love that they brought back Astra. More people with questionable motives aboard the Wave Rider is a good thing. I'm not saying that Astra should stay on the ship, but it reminds me of the beginning of the show. At the beginning, it was a pairing of heroes and villains who set out to save the world. Excuse me. Since that time, the Legends have only recruited heroic characters. I think more great characters on board provides better storytelling opportunities. Now, that is a very good point, Carrie. I totally concur with that. I just don't want Astra. I don't enjoy her character. They can do something so much better, like bringing Mick in, a partner again, something more like that. Yeah, I don't know. Good point, though. Very, very strong argument there. Although Nate and Charlie had very little screen time, it was nice to see Nate having someone to bro out with. The chemistry of the actors together is probably why showrunners made them a couple back in the day. I thought the coupling of Nate and Amaya was terrible, but the actors together hanging out as Nate and Charlie was fun. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think anything about that? Nate and Charlie?
I did. I kind of thought it was fun. I liked them like sitting there tanning. It just made me laugh.
Yeah.
Drinking a beer while they're waiting for them to just pop back from hell. I mean, what else are you going to do? I loved it.
All right, he finishes off with, all told, the episode just flowed so damn well. There were good character moments, good action, and CGI scenes with Zari wielding the totem. I still don't know how she was able to use it so well when Behrad appeared to struggle with some of its most complicated elements, like stopping bullets. But oh well. The episode has me so excited for what's going to happen next with Sarah, with Hel Blazari, with Astra, and the Fate Sisters. All of this is why I'm darn near ready to give this episode a perfect rating. I'm giving it a 9.5 Loom Rings out of 10. Well, you put up a good argument, Carrie. I only disagree with a couple points. You had some very strong points in there. The thing with Zari wielding the totem, I think because Zari 1.0 had so much more time with it and got to use it, I think she's pulling on that Zari. That Zari is becoming part of her. The timelines are merging somehow, and I think because of that, she's going to learn it a lot faster than Behrad. That's my answer to that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. That's where I was leaning to. I mean, she does at one point in the episode say, there's a little warrior me that lives in this totem, and she's going to protect me. So I think a better way to think of that is maybe a merging of the two. But yeah, I agree.
All right, next up is an email from Darrow. What's he have to say?
He says, great episode, though I wish they weren't doing a love triangle plot. They barely have any episodes left in the season. Well, we've got like 5 episodes left. And this is what they do. I thought they were better than this, but then again, this is the CW. Ouch. All right, the last time Sarah was out of action for so long, she was directing an episode, so I wonder what the reason is this time. Sarah Lance is the final leader of the team in the Arrowverse without powers, and it's her lack of powers I find that makes her so special. So I'm not behind this story quite yet. Well, yeah, it sounds like they're doing away with that. Seeing Zari as Cleopatra just makes me wish for a time when they can use her true superhero name of Isis. Yeah, they can't really do that. That Cleopatra wig has to be the greatest hairpiece in the history of the Arrowverse. I think their version of Enchantress is far superior to the one from Suicide Squad. Seeing Nate and Charlie talk about Amaya still makes me wonder if he has ever mentioned she shares Amaya's face. And then he finally says, I have only recognized one Black Caesar, and that's Fred Williamson.
So it seems like Carrie is on your side and Daryl is with me this week.
Yes. Yes.
Because, I agree with a lot of what he said. Especially the point about Sarah being the final team leader in the Arrowverse without powers. That's what makes her so special. And I love that she can lead a team of superpowered people and they all agree to follow her. That's what's great about her. And, definitely, the Cleopatra making you want her to be called Isis, maybe they'll lead to that. I don't know. I mean, maybe that, like I said, maybe it was just a shout out for her original character this time. I don't know. I will have to see if they go more with that, but.
Yeah. In this day and age, I'd be surprised if they end up using the name ISIS because of the negative connotation.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks, guys, for that. Next up is an email from ArcPhase 2.0, and he says, "Greetings, Wonder Twins. It looks as though there are a lot of Encores still out there. Avra's prognosticator seemed to have detected at least 18 Encores as far as I can count. With Lachesis and Atropos owning all of Astra's soul coins, it could be possible that they will throw multiple Encores at us all at once, similar to this episode. Also, did anyone notice that Atropos has both her hands? Looks like as though they can regenerate limbs as well as be able to shapeshift just like Charlie." Oh yeah, good point, ArcPhase. She did have both hands. So, and again, she's a god, so I guess that didn't make sense to me anyway when they cut it off. But I think the Encores were more cooperative with each other. They probably could have been a lot more dangerous than the Legends could handle. But then again, it was mostly Bonnie and Clyde that were killing the others off. I'm curious as to what kind of hell weapon Henry VIII would have had if he didn't get killed off so quickly in the beginning. Did they not show? They didn't show when there was that scene where they all stood up around the table and they all drew their weapon on the person beside them. Did Henry VIII not have a weapon in his hand?
Oh, I don't know. And if he did, no, because they killed him. He's the one they killed, and then they did that.
You're right. Clyde shot him while they were still sitting down.
Mm-hmm. And then they did the whole standoff.
Good question. What kind of weapon would he have had? Anyway, however, with so many of these Encores dead, the Legends now have a good arsenal of hell weapons they can use to fight back against other Encores.
True.
Another good point. Boy, ArcPhase is pulling on things where this is why I love feedback. People bring out things that we forget about. So that is a good point. Speaking of weapons, how did Jack the Ripper get his scalpel back? I thought Constantine had kept it with him for his disguise.
I think he had more than one.
Yeah, he did have a whole kit up there. That's true, of all kinds of dismantling tools. Despite the usual odd partnership between Zari and Constantine at the beginning, it does seem like there's going to be a deeper relationship between them, which is unfortunate for Nate. However, we all did see a slight spark between them from the Romeo v. Juliet episode.
I thought so too.
Yeah, you're right. See? When they were up on the podium there having that big long speech with each other. You're right. Zari seems to be starting to use her totem despite it being by accident. If she can recall skills from the other Zari, like hacking in video games, I think she can recall how to use the totem too. Exactly. Astra has joined the Legends and the Wave Rider, but I wonder if this could be a plot to steal the Loom from both the Legends and the Fates. By pretending to side with the Fates and pretending to help the Legends, she can acquire the Loom for herself and even rule Hell quite easily. I guess that is a plot possibility, but I don't know. I think ultimately she wants to save her mom, and John's trying to help her with that. And I think if they can save her mom, she might just disappear happily ever after. And
if they alter her fate, this is definitely the last we'll see of Astra, I believe.
All right, our Captain Sarah has been missing most of this episode due to her emerging powers. I wonder what they could be. Is it the power of foresight, since it seemed like she was seeing possible futures or something? If it is, then along with her assassin skills would make her even more formidable against her enemies. Until next week, ArcPhase 2.0. Ooh, could you imagine that? If she's able to see just seconds ahead, she'd be the perfect fighter because she can read what's going to happen. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Awesome, ArcPhase. Thanks for that. All right. Next up is a voicemail from Patty Spivot.
Hey, Flash and Harley, it is Patty Spivot calling in. Congratulations on the 100th or 101st episode, however you guys are playing that tonight. I'm going to try and tune in to the live show, which is super cool, although I kind of have it live in real life, too, if I really want to go downstairs.
That's a good point.
Just a few thoughts about last week's episode. First of all, I watched the Great British Baking Show and the Great Canadian Baking Show, and there was nothing about the show in the show. So I was kind of looking forward to how they were going to play that, but clearly it was just a title. So that, I really like the Sarah storyline. The things that are happening to her are super cool. And I think, I'm really curious to see how she evolves, I guess, or what's happening to her. The team is definitely not the same without her, so it's really a loss when she's out of commission for these episodes. The Loom quest, I think, is the best part of the season so far. I know they started out with the Encores, but they've honestly been super underwhelming. I really liked the idea of that, and I thought they could do a ton with it, but they have these two things going on, the Loom and the Encores, and I think the Loom is winning out for me for sure. The love triangle. I think we have a love triangle. Anybody else thinking that? At first, I totally eye-rolled because it was just the CW doing their stuff. But I actually have always liked Nate and Zari together, so I'm open to see what they're going to do with it. Constantine, though, I mean, he doesn't seem like a relationship guy to me, but there's definitely some chemistry there, so I don't know how this is going to go. What do you guys think of Zari's flashbacks? They started happening 2 episodes ago, and then there weren't any this episode, but then she suddenly could use the totem, just inherently just can use it. So do you think they're going to merge the 2 personalities or merge the 2, I guess, versions of Zari, or are they just going to let it be with the new Zari just sort of developing the old Zari's skills? So I'm just wondering what you guys think about that. And also, did Astra join the Legends? What happened there? I need to hear that from you guys. Hopefully you guys covered it.
We did.
And I just was thinking about the end of the season because it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Do you think they're going to wrap up the Loom and the Encore storylines and come up with something else for next season? Or do you think what they're doing now is kind of strong enough to carry through to next season and in some form? So lots of thoughts. I actually wrote them down this time because I had lots going on when I thought about the episode afterwards. So that's it, I guess. I'm looking forward to the podcast as always. And congratulations again, you guys. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Well, thanks. That's our first congratulations for her.
That's true.
I mean, I've been kind of reminding of her about it all week, so. But
yeah.
Thank you, Patty, for that. Now, see, that's Flash's Patty Spivot back. She's right in tune with me, loving the Sarah story and everything. So finally, we're back on the same page.
Oh, that's funny.
Now, I mean, we have talked about Zari 1.0 and 2.0. What are our final guesses at that? Harley, what do you think? Are they merging the 2 of them?
I'm really not sure. I'm kind of on the fence about what they're doing with it. I don't know if they're necessarily going to merge them or if she'll just continue to kind of get snippets and flashes of it. I liked that she pointed out that Zari lives inside the totem. So I feel there has to be a connection with that. Maybe somehow, maybe she can further tap into her knowledge or something. So I don't know. We'll kind of see where they go with that. But what did you think about it?
Yeah, I think I'm still just leaning in the direction of somehow they're merging the 2 somehow because they called her an Echo.
Yeah.
And she is now trapped. 1.0 is now trapped in the totem. So if Zari is wearing the totem, she's got to direct a link to that totem and she's able to draw on, it used to be draw on their ancestors. Well, I guess Zari 1.0 is essentially a type of ancestor. I guess that's how they're going to do it. It's just, they've never merged 2 timelines. Two timelines have been completely and utterly separate, whether it's on this show or on The Flash. And the fact that they're making these 2 mix up, that's strange to me. So I'm not sure, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we'll just have to see how they handle it. We have had a few comments in the chat now that we've kind of officially reached the end. I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's now that we've gone through all the official feedback. Let's scroll back and catch up with some of the chat comments now. So let's go all the way up.
Bianca's had quite a few since she joined.
Yeah, Bianca. So every time she hears that, she chuckles. I think she's talking about the Wonder Twins activate.
Yeah, I think she was too.
And she agrees, no love triangle. Yes. It seems like we're split between us and the listeners. Everyone's kind of split on whether they want to see it because they think it'll be funny and whether they don't want it at all.
Yeah. I don't know that I necessarily want to see it, but I do appreciate the chemistry that Tala and Matt seem to have with the characters. So I like it.
Yeah. Her next one, I guess I could show these. Jeez, let me put them on screen. There we go.
Hey.
Did Behrad ever practice with the totem, though? I think Zari, either one, is just more of a natural.
True. I think she is.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think because Zari 1.0 had it for so much longer than Behrad, at least it seems like it, and the fact that Zari is wearing it and she's inside the totem, I think all of that combined is why this Zari is able to use it quicker and more easier. What's her next one? Half-baked Encores, they weren't that good. I think she's with me on that. I just, the Encores,
No, I mean, they were fun, but yeah, like, they weren't like amazing. But she has it looks like her next comment is a qualifying of that comment. But she's talking about that being the reason for the episode title, The Great British Fake
As
Off.
to why the episode title. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. And, Patty complained about that too, because she was kind of excited to see what they're going to do with, because she loves her baking shows, and they did absolutely nothing with it. The only idea I came up with is how funny would it have been just for a side scene if we go on the Wave Rider into the kitchen and you see Mick wearing an apron and a baking hat, and he's baking cookies or something because he wants to bring something to his daughter. That could have been your baking show reference. How funny would that have been?
That would have been pretty funny. I'd have been there for that. Or like Ava teaching him like how to bake, because isn't she supposed to be like an amazing baker or something?
Exactly. Yeah. What's your next one? Boy, yeah, she was going off here. I hope Zari continues to get flashes of Zari 1.0. I think that's going to continue happening, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think Jeff follows that up. I think she might consult Zari 1.0. I mean, if she can go into the totem, she might be able to go in there and talk to her whenever she needs to.
Oh, yeah. I think so, yeah. If she can figure out how to keep going inside of it.
Bianca, maybe it'll be kind of like a mental download, like the Matrix. Could be interesting.
That's kind of where I feel like I'm coming from, because she gets the flashes, where she just knew how to play the video game. She just knew how to hack computers. Like I think that's the version that I'm leaning towards.
And it seems like it's when she's in contact with the totem that she's getting these flashes. Because she was wearing it when she sat down to play video games.
No, Behrad was wearing it. She saw the cat. She saw herself as a cat, but it wasn't really. But anyway, she was chasing a cat that wasn't there. She just saw the cat. But anyways, it was funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Carrie says that would be interesting. I wonder what point he's referring to. It's hard to keep up with all of these. Which one do you think he's talking about? Yeah, that would be cool. And then, of course, Patty's like, she's totally a baking nerd show. Yep. And Mick baking with his heat gun. Yes. And you know why he would do that? Because he's too impatient to wait for the oven. He would just roast everything with his heat gun. It would be a hilarious scene. Oh, they got to do it.
It would be funny.
We just want to say thanks, guys. I know there's a few of you on here. Thanks for spending the evening with us to celebrate this episode. A lot of you will hear just the podcast version of it, but we just want to thank everybody. Thank all of our listeners. We owe you guys so much. You've made this fun for us, and without your guys' feedback and posting and tweeting and all that kind of stuff, I mean, me and Jess wouldn't have anything to do. So it's it's fun, and we appreciate that you guys chose us. I know there's a couple other Legends podcasts out there, and you've heard us complain about them. They're not that good, in my opinion, but we're just very proud of our show, and that's why we appreciate that you guys chose us over those other ones. And maybe
I'm not going to lie, I've never listened to them.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I listen to them, because you want to check out your competition. You want to know what you're up against. Fair. So I don't
want to be accused of stealing ideas.
I wanted to listen to what they're doing to make sure that we don't do the same thing. I want to make our show different, unique, and stand apart from them. And I believe the way we do it is very different. Our format is different. And that's what I'm proud of. So there we go. Outro music. All right. Thank you guys. As always, thank you everybody. Jeff, Bianca, Carrie, Talia, Lisa. Did I miss anybody? Jeff. I think maybe I said them twice, but thank you guys for being with us. Thank you all our other listeners out there. We're celebrating 100 episodes, officially 101, but thank you so much, guys. It's been a blast. I know this episode is a little bit different because we're live and things are a little crazy. I will promise to edit this out of the the audio version. And let's go. I don't know. Can we? I don't know if we can do another 100 episodes, Jess. I don't know, but maybe we'll get 20 more.
I don't think we'll get another 100 more, but I think it might be a feat to even get to 150. But that would be cool if we could make it to 150. But if not, we'll settle for 125. We'll do something special.
We'll do something special. It could be our big finale, our series-ending finale episode for sure.
Yeah, based on the ratings, it's looking like it might be. Although it's the CW, so who knows?
Exactly. All right, guys. That's all we got for you guys. Thanks as always. Happy 100th. We'll see you guys next week. This is The Flash. Signing off.
And thank you again for being with us for 100 episodes. I felt like I needed to say more than my usual. And this is Harley Quinn, and I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.